Good morning, everyone. Microphone check. Mic check. Mic check. There we go. Okay. That was weird. Mic check. Get the... Okay. It wasn't registering for a second. It was really weird. Nothing was moving, but now it's working, so I don't know. It's Monday, right? Who knows? Anyway, I think we're good there. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic weekend, and you've all rested up and ready to rock and roll and all that. So welcome, welcome. Good morning, SSFTG family. I hope you all had a great weekend, like I said, and hopefully the weather was good by you and you were able to at least have some fun outside maybe, or at least doing something that you enjoy. As per the usual, though, now that we're back to business on Monday, make sure to read through the morning prep PDF on the right side of the screen there. Very important to understand everything that is inside there. Just a quick note for you all as well before we jump on in today. If you are watching on the YouTube side of things, the stream does have between a 5 and 30-second delay, depending on where you're logging in from, which will definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at any given moment. Good morning, good morning. Hey, welcome. Let everyone kind of roll out of bed and work their way in Monday morning, right? We had a fun little party down at the boat launch, and over the weekend it was beautiful weather. Oh, nice breeze through there. It's hard to beat. Man, I love summer. For those of you on the other side of the world who are in winter now. Sorry, it's coming back around. I only get like 7 days of this, all right? So you gotta give me a break. Anyway. I just want to take a second, like we always do every day, to thank all of our new members, subscribers, Academy students, VIPs, and everyone in between. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm super excited to have you all on board and as part of the SSFTG family. If you aren't a member yet, you do have a few different options to check out if you're looking to further your trading education and career. One of the easiest ways to jump in the family is right here on YouTube. You can check out the join button below the stream, and that gets you access to the extended hours room, where we continue the morning room with a little less delay to the end of the session. YouTube members also have access to the community area, where I post all kinds of different chart setups. Oops, hang on one second. Sorry, I just realized I didn't have the morning brief levels. There you go. Different chart setups, stock charts, analytics, all kinds of different stuff. And of course, every member gains access to the Discord chat server, and you get that awesome badge next to your name to show your support, and it just looks cool. The best part is $5 a month. You skip a coffee at Starbucks and you're all set. Maybe even just a little icing on it these days. If you want to take a massive step further, though, in understanding the trading approach and what I'm doing here every day in the room, look no further than the Day Trading Academy. This is where you can learn how we do everything. But listen, this isn't a small little PDF guide that you're going to finish in an afternoon, all right? Yeah, there is a quick start course, and that will get you going, but to really get into the meat and potatoes, to dig in like the Academy does, you're looking at about 19 plus hours, and that is going to be growing soon with the addition of Unit 4 of the video course materials. Along with the course, you have homework and study guides along the way to really make sure that you're understanding what's going on while you're navigating the course, which I review personally, and you get the awesome DTA upgrade discount too. When you're looking to go a little bit of a step further and you're looking at reaching out to the top floor, then you got the executive suites and the top floor and the penthouse. That's where you're going to find all the VIPs. VIPs have permanent access to all that is SSFTG. The Day Trading Academy, private Discord chat, future updates, new strategies, monthly webinars, which we actually just had one this past weekend, which went fantastically well. One-on-one access and everything else. It all comes as part of the package. VIPs gain access to the fully dedicated, non-delayed stream to the entire session, meaning that they are on the fastest connection you can get without any delays from start to finish. So whether you're here for the very first time or you're one of the VIP vets over on the dedicated stream, welcome. I'm glad to have you trading alongside of me today, analyzing these crazy markets of ours. Let's take a look at some charts, take a look at some news, see what's going on today, see what awaits us as we navigate into the markets this morning. Good morning, Stephen. Welcome, welcome. Everyone else so far, welcome. Don't forget to grab the morning DP levels. Sorry about that. I didn't have them on screen there for very long, but we've got all those posted for you for this morning on the major 7 markets. NASDAQ, S&P, gold, crude, euro, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. It's a race every time. Got our news as far as today is concerned. There's not much going on. Earlier this morning, we had 130. They rank it as medium news. I think it is incredibly biased, given that it's coming from investing.com, and this is their news calendar. A little bit of a bias to bump that up to a 2-star, I think. But hey, we'll throw it out there. We do have them throwing their actual numbers out this morning. Aside from that, though, at 10 o'clock, we have the new home sales. That's going to be a big one at 10. It's forecasted at 800,000. We'll see where that lands as far as that's concerned. Along with the 10 o'clock new home sales for June, they also have the new home sales month-over-month percentage. That's forecasted 3.5. Less of a number, but still something to pay attention to if you follow it. All right, and we've got a heck of a lot of movement to cover, so as far as the markets are jumping in, let's go. we've got a whole lot happening here. So as far as the S&P is concerned, obviously we've got a very strong rotation back to the upside. And with this momentum higher, the one thing that I really want to make sure of is what is happening from the volume perspective. Because, well, we're back to all-time highs again. We're back up to these really awkward spots. And there's a few... there's a few concerns that I have. One concern, first off, we have an undertow, which has been going on. It's a continued divergence that's been playing out for a very, very long time. But here's the thing, right? Along this grindy path to the upside, and we've got this undertow working lower, it broke above it. And then when it looked like, well, you know, maybe it's just a little bit of a wider undertow, it broke above that too. So it's kind of shutting down all of the shots that they're taking at it, but we still are maintaining a diverged high, suggesting that the market is running out of steam, or at least likely to take a break sooner than later. Now, when I see a POC that just slaps itself right up on the top like that at 44.03 we've got to put this into context of, well, where was it before that? Right? If we go back just a little ways before they broke into that high, and we put it down here, we've got it down at the 43.1550s. Well, if this were, you know, bulls who were looking for a continuation leg to the upside, you've got wave 3 into 4. It makes sense. We've got that really nice continuation all the way back up. Wave 5, big move all the way. Okay, cool. But when we get back up to those highs, all of a sudden now, we're seeing the POC shifting back up to the top side. Something's weird. Something's happened, right? That's a little bit of a concern. Not that the uptrend is totally done, but that a larger pullback may be necessary. Something maybe back to like the 43.66s or something. We'll see what they're able to do, but it's a bit of a concern. From a structural perspective, we've got a nice little spike and possible channel working its way back up. They just overshot the highs of it with the POC on the top. I mean, 2 legs down would make a whole lot of sense here. And if we're looking at this from the EW perspective, good old Elliott wave, we've got wave 1 into 2. Wave 2, nice, sharp, decisive, clean and clear, and under control, right? So you've got this rally back to the upside that's starting to make me think that, well, if wave 2 is nice and easy, wave 4 is usually a mess, right? That's usually the case. We haven't had that yet. All of these have been pretty nice and decisive. I mean, I guess this one was a little bit vindictive, but it was a pretty clean 2-legged move back, and they even came back and retested it. So this could very easily just be wave 3 before we're waiting for wave 4 back to, or wave 4 into wave 5 all the way back up. If that's the case, wave 4 is probably going to be a mess, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see us get stuck here for a while. That's the first thing to kind of consider here. The fact that the POC shifted is a little bit of a concern. If we start breaking through the 43.80s and start cracking through those lows with some conviction, maybe they're looking for that bigger move down. That could be sellers just really getting ready to pound that thing. Over on gold, not much has happened. Man, just dead flat sideways in the middle. Got a 60-minute chart. Let's jump out to there and see if this gives us anything to work with. What a pitiful looking chart this is. One of the big things we've been talking about the POCs when we're talking about gold and the euro. If we continue this from the top, I'm not really going to pay too much attention to gold, so I'm okay if it's on the minute. We've got the POC, which is at 1807.3. Now, the thing is, if we go back a little bit from the impulse, from top to bottom, and we look at where that POC was, it was down here initially. Right, so let's follow this rabbit hole. Right, if these are longs and they're in, then realistically they're looking for probably a 0.5 to 1 or a 2 to 1, which would be a pretty likely objective. And if we follow this all the way back up, And we drag this a little bit over. Where did the 2-to-1 land for the bulls? I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. We hit the 2-to-1 for the bulls off of their POC. Ooh, that was a close one. And we rotate back off the highs. Almost lost monetization on the video. And a big drive back to the downside. With this continuation lower, we've got it's a pretty nice descending wedge working its way lower. Nice and straightforward, but, I mean, really? Like, that obvious, huh? Okay. So, if this is a 2-to-1, then how did that play out? Let's pull the volume a little bit further forward. POC still down there. POC still down there. POC still down there. Even through all of this range, it's still down there. Go a little further, still there. Go a little further, still there. Still there. No changes. No changes. We go a little more. And now, all of a sudden, the POC is right there at 807.3. Like, wait, what? What happened? What changed? Why the sudden change in opinion? Are these traders that, when are they scared? Are they trying to jump ship? Are they trying to reposition? Where are they going? Let's see where the POC actually shifted. Right? 778. It should be obvious if it does. Maybe not. All right, let's creep it a little further forward. Not there. Not there. Not there. Okay, right there. That's when it shifted. Right there. Now, notice the way that it formed. That's a possibility of a second short to the downside. So, I mean, here's the thing. If we're looking at this from a common sense perspective, and we know that longs got their 2-to-1, and it's not like they were shy about it. I mean, let's be real here. It's about as plain as day as you could possibly get. Now, all of a sudden, the POC is shifting down. Like, okay, well, wait a minute. Are these shorts that are positioning for a big drive down? If that's the case, we should see some pretty good fall away momentum lower, and we have 3 lower highs to get that job done. All that we really need is a breakdown below the 80s, 85s, get us some proof. That would also retest the earlier break even of the bulls, and if they break through that, chances are they're not going to stick around. So maybe even down into the 70s is a little bit of extra proof, and then a retrace back up. But if the bulls take back over and this continues back up to another high, and we start continuing back up, because of how aggressively it reversed off of that, a lot of traders are going to they got left in the dust. I know my luck. I wouldn't have been filled there. So with this movement to the downside, another subsequent rally up may be quickly sold into, not by new sellers, but by buyers who are really fast jumping ship, realizing, man, I missed my 2-to-1. Are you kidding me? Like, oh, my boss is going to kill me. Could you imagine telling your boss you didn't get filled at a 2-to-1 because you're out at a coffee break or something? And then it goes all the way back down like this? Yikes. That's a tough one. Now, it hasn't hit the break even yet, so it hasn't invalidated those longs. But if it starts churning back lower, that's the next stop, and that's going to be sub 80s. Over on crude, jeez, oh Pete, this thing is just a herky-jerk market. We've got our herky-jerkus going on over here on crude with the top move to the bottom and then kind of looks like a batarang. It just reversed off of the bottom real aggressive. And now we're going back around. POC is pretty likely up at the top, right? Yeah. Yikes. So we've got the POC, which is stuck up at 71.71. And here's the beautiful thing from the longs perspective. And I say earlier because it's really difficult to buy this far up from a longs perspective. But seeing the POC stick up to the highs and seeing the sellers drive down. Well, if we're looking back a little bit further, obviously, my drawing thing's messing up, we've got a downtrend. So a top-weighted POC in a previous area of structure makes a lot of sense for sellers to rail this thing just back to the downside. Now, are they going to make it all the way back down to the lows? It looks like we've got a lot of support hovering in the 70s. And that's where the POC was before. So if anything, we'll probably just start going a little bit range bound. But if the sellers don't get the conviction to the downside, they fail the move and start jerking back above it, that's probably going to be the launching pad for a big rotation back to the upside. And I mean, when we're talking big rotation back to the upside, I mean, crude back up into 80s, maybe even 85s, like big movement, big rotation up, because you're looking at doubling this value, 65 to 71. Well, that puts it at least 75. And we know how crude is on the hope train. This thing can rally really aggressively, and now you're up in the 80s. So there's a lot of potential here to the upside if it really wants to go. If, at the moment. Right now, the sellers are trying, and they've got some pretty nice bear bars to get that job done. Over on the euro, I don't know. It's a freaking mess. All right, euro done. Over on Bitcoin, I'm not going to waste time on the euro. That thing's a... We've got Bitcoin overall with a nice rotation back up. And one of the big things that we've been talking about for a long period of time, how's it going, Ace, is Bitcoin, in order to show that we need, enough bulls, there's enough bulls to get this to actually go up. Because if you remember, we were talking before on how the correction back down towards the 20,000 mark makes a lot of sense, potentially even down to 12, like a big dip. It could still happen. But this movement up is tagging some key areas that we needed to see for the bulls to try to take over. We got some major swing highs. We broke above, you remember the prices, 36, 37? That was kind of like the, okay, I would really like us to break above that. Yeah, no, they went all the way up to almost 40. So, job done. They broke above that. It's okay. Here's my concern. This massive rally to the upside and the fact that the majority of it happened right at the end doesn't scream strength to me. That screams weakness. That screams bulls who were stuck earlier are trying to GTFO out of this thing on this massive rally higher. If this would have been a bit more sideways and constructed, I would feel a heck of a lot better. But the fact that the whole thing jerked up right at the end, they basically have to stay high or it's going to drop really aggressively. Yeah, it's not worth the time. So as far as the movement that we've got going on right now, this is great. It's a good thing, but they have to stay up here, right? That's all it comes down to. They have to stay up here, because if they start losing ground back in the 35s, 34s, that's going to be a big problem. And that could cause a really, really big drive. So it's looking good, and we can talk about on TradingView as well. If we're looking at the volume profile, looks fantastic. That's where the breakaway move was above the average. That's great. Ethereum, same thing. Really, really fantastic rotation back to the upside. My concern here is the exact same thing. We have a huge rally to the upside, but notice what Ethereum did a little bit differently. They had that giant blow-off move, but then they crept it back up again as if to kind of confirm, like, no, we're serious. I'm not joking. We are actually going up. Even if they do pull back, that bit of extra continuation is a huge clue in their intentions. I still think it makes a lot more sense to pull back at this point in time, but given the fact that we've pulled above all of the major volume nodes, this is a fantastic position point where a lot of traders are going to be looking for a big move on some of these cryptos. Now, if we look at over on the NASDAQ, and let me get these 60-minute stuff and all of the NASDAQ out of the way, and then we can dig in a little bit more on Bitcoin. I don't want to jump too far down the rabbit hole yet, but we have shifted above the POC. They've got everything they need. I would just love a pullback. Over on the NASDAQ, bigger picture on the daily, same story. Let's move this a little further forward, see if anything changed. Nope. A little bit, I guess, but now that we are continuing back up, we have really, really aggressive movement into the highs. And for those of you who have been going through the, I know a few of you are watching, for those of you going through the academy at the moment, we've got some nice candle gapping momentum to the upside, which is creating some very interesting zones. And you'll notice where we're running into, right? We're running into a little bit of that resistance ahead of those major turning points into the 130s, 140s. So the fact that we're trying to turn off the highs a little bit here makes sense. A lot of traders are front running this huge candle gap going to the upside. But here's the thing. When you have those candle gaps to the upside and you're looking at, I wonder, are they going to keep going? Is there still enough strength? Oh, wait a minute. There's another one. Hey, hot diggity. They're showing that there's still enough strength to keep this thing going to the upside. So although we're close to that first candle gap, well, guess what? We just opened the door for another one. Now we've got more potential to the upside, suggesting that the NASDAQ has upward objectives at the moment of around 15,201. Doesn't look like this is necessarily done. The one thing that does kind of sit is interesting, at the very least, is that if we're looking at this from the EW perspective, good old Elliott wave coming back in again. We had this initial drive up, right? And we weren't so sure, like, wait a minute, is this wave 1, wave 2, like what's going on here? Then it pulled all the way back down. Well, there's some obvious problems with that. So now we have to kind of readjust. It's either here, and maybe this is, again, wave 3 to the upside. It's looking pretty good, right? Value pullbacks, it's doing everything it needs to do to maintain a trend, right? That's what we really have to understand about this, is that it's doing everything it needs to do to maintain a trend. Even on the pullbacks, they're holding value pullbacks perfectly, right? Like, no questioning, perfectly. And so given that thought process, well, we have to assume that the bulls are going to be looking for some more continuation. And there's nothing telling us that they should stop. If we look at the 60-minute chart, we can see that although the POC is still way back there and we've kind of still left them in the dust, that's a good thing in terms of more momentum to the upside, because these are traders who are getting squeezed. They were, I mean, it's fairly obvious from the volume structure here that these were probably bulls buying into the dip. You know, it is what it is. But while we're continuing back up, we're having diminishing volume while we're reaching into the highs. That would suggest that we're not seeing new sellers yet. Or if there are new sellers, we'd see the volume going up. We'd see the POC shift. We'd see something. Even if it were buyers taking profit, it doesn't matter why they're selling. Just some kind of selling, right? What's happening? We haven't seen that yet. They're still stuck way back at 773.75. So if they're stuck from back here, right, assuming that they were shorts trying to get this continuation leg to the downside, and you can see what they were trying to get done. The fact that it failed back, well, you can tell if it pulls back, where are they hoping it pulls back to? I guarantee you they're hoping it pulls back to 73.75. They want to get the heck out of that short and maybe even reverse and go long again. How nice of a pullback would that be for a continuation up, huh? It'd be like a secondary dip. One thing's for sure, man, we're coming into some volatility here. Just be prepared for the rodeo. Looking at the 15-minute chart, we can see what's going on. Nice, literally perfect Elliott wave structure to the upside, all the way back up to a massive extension. 1.618, it actually reached all the way out to almost 7, didn't it? Yeah, 1.7 move. Huge move to the upside. No POC shift yet, but you can see that volume creeping in a little bit. Just have to spend some more time around the 15,100s. We'll probably have it happen. Now, as far as this is concerned, from the overall structure, this likely tells us that we're probably going to see, well, a little bit of a pullback, an ABCD corrective phase, even 5-wave corrective phases, something that's a little bit deeper. The concern with this amount of momentum to the upside is that if it is a corrective phase, typically the corrective phase is going to come back to the previous zone of interest between wave 4's zone, and that is also right where the POC is. So, I mean, you know, when everything lines up like that, it's kind of hard to ignore, you know? That's tough. Looking like they might not pull back right this second, but it's something to consider. Now, the other consideration here is that wave 2 was pretty sharp and decisive. I'm not necessarily sold that this is wave 4, but I mean, the fact that they had a new high and a new low, I guess it fits. It was a bit more vindictive. Okay, sure. Going into the 500 tick, starting off with, the beginning of the week, rallied back up into the highs 15,126.25 before driving down to a low of 38.75. In terms of the structured movement lower, they had an L2 that they tried to reverse off of. Typically, that's not enough. The market did come back, and they got the L3, which was enough before driving the market back down. Now, after an L3, you're typically expecting on a strong breakout to see an L1. That is the exact opposite of what happened. So, given the fact that the L1s got absolutely obliterated, what do you think is happening when it's coming back? I wonder. So imagine, right? You shorted here with a limit order. You shorted here with a limit order. Your average is where? Right in the middle. Not to spoil any of the story here already, but we get a little more continuation to the upside. You're totally underwater now. You didn't take your stop where you're supposed to. We've all been there before, right? You're not... Everybody goes through it, I promise, right? I understand. Didn't take your stop where you're supposed to. Slides a little bit further against you. Comes back. Even gives you another chance to follow your plan and get out where your stop was supposed to be. Now, humans, we're stubborn, right? Rallies all the way back up here. Crap. Oh no, what did I do, right? We know that feeling. We've been there. Drives all the way back down. Gets close to the last point that you entered on. Immediately, we see traders start jumping ship. Now imagine if you were waiting for a break even. How much pain do you think this rally up put you under? Right? I mean, that's an immense amount of psychological stress that's going to drive you under. So when it goes back up and hits an L4 and reverses back down, what do you think these sellers are thinking when it came back to break even? I gave you a hint already. Like, nah, peace. I'm out. I'm good. I don't want it. They finally were given a chance to get out. They responded. Interesting. / obvious. Once you understand what's going on, I guess, inside of there, it's kind of funny how that all works. Now, with this continuation phase to the upside, if we're looking at this going into the open, and a lot of things can change in the open, we've got this initial drive down, which looks like an almost perfect ABCD. Almost. It was almost a 618, too. Jeez, oh, Pete's. It was a 138. It was close. Okay. We've got a good continuation down. Obviously, this is not an impulse drive because it went back up, so that failed. If it is going to go a little bit further and continue on beyond this extended move, then really we're probably just still inside of a complex structure to the upside. And, well, if we have a quick move, we're probably looking for a one-to-one move back to the upside, ABCD style, and we're going to be stuck here for a little while. Now, the overall volume, as far as the top to the bottom is concerned, that's down at 15,085. I'm sure the majority of that built up there. Yep. When it broke back down, they even bottlenecked it down at the lows. Jeez, oh Pete. Talk about an exit back at break even. Look at the messing around that happened there. That was also inside of all of that, if you wanted to add more context. Continue that down to a new low. The POC is right at the bottom. They come back. We see the POC bounce on their exits. Tries to go down if the sellers gave it a shot. Rolls back up, gives it another shot. If they roll back above this POC at 85, it's kind of game over for the sellers. I can't see them trying to keep going anymore. Looking for the bull side, aside from the broken L1 and the total reversal off of their break-evens, we are holding an L4 down here. So if this is an ABCD correction to the downside, then we've probably got a reason to believe that this might be the start of a nice impulse to the upside back to all-time highs again, which would make sense given the string of bull bars we've got. Upside objectives in the, what were they, 15,200s, basically? All right. My daughter needs help with pretzels real quick, right into the open. I'll go fast. Whew, okay. Nothing like sprinting to your kitchen real quick, right? All right, 5 seconds to go. Got the open right around the corner here. The S&P has a slight gap to the downside. We are a slight gap down inside of a very obvious bull trend. This is a zone where if buyers are going to be trying to buy the dip, it's likely going to be between here. That would be the most likely area. So probably a little bit further down to go for the S&P, but not much. NASDAQ sellers potentially looking for a bit of continuation here with this fade back down. Wow, all in one. Now notice the S&P is going up. just throwing that out there right now. Nice drive down in the NASDAQ with continuation. It did it all in one giant shot back to the downside. Most of the volume weighted a bit further above it at 15,045 or so. Can't believe that little correction back. How nice that looks. Slightly deeper pullback. They're trying to hold an L5. This is the last ditch for the bulls. Three press wedge low. Attempting to hold, it looks like. Twin reversal off of that base. POC shifting down now, 52.50. A lot of volume shifting around the 52.50. Jeez. Closed right back underneath it, too. Shifting down just a bit. Man, they really messed with the bulls there. If they weren't patient enough to wait for the candle to close, that would have just messed them up in there. That's mean. More continuation down, trapping above maybe the previous candle's high. Even attempted to reach back for those longs to try to get out. I didn't get a fill. I tried selling the ask on that pop and I didn't get a fill. No! Okay, well, big reversal back up. The algos had their fun. I missed my fill. There's nothing I can do about that. Coming back and retesting. I think a lot of chasers are going to be trying to chase this move down, and the probability is going to be a little bit more difficult unless they show up to the party like that. That's definitely helping. It's just forcing sellers to sell super low. I'm not seeing it. Weak bear bar down. I think if you're already short, sure. I didn't get a fill. I don't trust this move down right now. It doesn't feel right. So it's just not, I don't know. Twin reversal off of the lows. Nice retest of the 50s. A good bear bar here might allow the sellers to come in, but it also might be one of those too good to be true type scenarios that traps everyone at the bottom. Which is the problem with selling the low. It's either the perfect entry or the worst entry. And there's not really much in between. Okay. It was good to trust my gut on that one. Something didn't seem right. This little pullback here, I'm going to utilize this to re-up on the long. I think the shorts are a bit nervous on this. I don't think they're going to be sticking around too long with this overall movement. As far as the continuation goes to the upside, realistically, I think we have to maintain the approach of a 2-to-1 because that's the only way that this makes sense at the moment, is from a swing trader's perspective. Shifting back above the POC. All right, NASDAQ, give her a go. We still got a ways until we start pushing into any 2-to-1s. Nice little dip back. A lot of buyers are going to re-up on that move. Beautiful little dip back for traders to reload. The anticipation, if it is going to be a reload, is a very strong bullish response. Nice bullish response back up for the 1/2-to-1 scalp, which we know is hovering inside there. Get that pop. We're back to the top of the wedge. Ugh, I'm going to take it at the top of the wedge. It's close enough to the 2-to-1, and I was able to re-up. Of course, now it goes without me, but I like that little add in that flush back. This is one of those just fantastic little, it's going to scare the living Beelzebub out of someone, right? Like, whoa, wait a minute, what? If you were long and you saw that giant bear bar, it'd scare the crap out of you. So a lot of traders jump ship, but that's what longs want. They want your orders. Like, yeah, give them to me. They're loading up. Those quick snapbacks, ooh, those are juicy. Beautiful transition inside of there. More continuation back up. The larger POC still hovering in the 85s. I think if this sell side fails with a higher low at 40.25, missed 38.75, that's gonna, I don't know. If we start pushing back above 85, I doubt sellers are going to be hanging on too long anymore. Oh, jeez. Wish I would have hit the button a couple more times on that quick little dip back, but we're still trading around the open too. We've got to be a little bit careful. As far as the first 5-minute volume is concerned, it's right at 15.050 even. And that's where it stayed. Oh no. Back above that POC at 85. That's a problem. For the shorts, at least. The longs built that bad boy up right at the bottom, starting to churn back up. This might be a little bit of a mess here, given the fact that it's right on top of that previous area of pretty obvious structure, but oops. The continuation phase to the upside in the short term. Beautiful leg to the upside. As far as the pullback is concerned, if it were to go a little bit further, I would prefer something that looks like that. And, you know, who knows from there. Nice little dip into the 73s. They're holding resistance at the 85. Sellers are attempting to hold that POC. Easy buy in the ES to all-time high, question mark. I mean, that was kind of the thing, you know, like we were talking about how this doesn't feel right for the shorts. Something's wrong down here. You just, I don't know. If shorts were in and they got greedy and they're still holding, they're they're in problem. They're in troubled waters at the moment. And the S&P, I mean, look at that first candle. That's bonkers. I was expecting at least a little bit further down, but they only made it to 97.25. Crazy move. As far as the first 5 POC on the S&P is concerned, that's at 4,475. Let's stretch that thing out. 4406 now. Oof. POC shifting up to the highs on the first 10 now. That could potentially suggest that longs just took profit. Sellers attempting to hold that previous POC off the 15.085s. I tell you what, if the S&P wants to come back and fill that gap in at 3.5, I'd be all right with that. There's a quick little dip there, but it didn't go far enough. Testing, no fill. Testing, no fill. Ay, ay, ay. Testing, no fill. Oh, don't go above 4.5. Don't you do it. No, 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 no. Now you get back down there. Thank you. Jeez. Ride the frickin' struggle bus over here. Retesting the secondary one. No fill again. Secondary fill on the deeper dip. S&P target still scalp though. Looking for a quick snap back up on the S&P, back up to, I mean, at least around the 3s, you'd think, but beautiful pullback to the EMA. NASDAQ is just jerking all over the place. Holy crap. And scalped out with an excessive commission cost on that. Is what it is. Looking for the market to try to figure out what it wants to do from here. Deeper than I think a lot of traders were expecting on this. I mean, honestly. Settlement still at 4,475, though. I don't think buyers will really, truly give up until underneath the low. And again, I don't think buyers are really hitting it too hard until we get in the 9650s anyway. So far, sellers on the NASDAQ have rejected the 15.085s. Okay. Back to the 5-minute volume node on the S&P. Whoops, I accidentally deleted that. Hang on. Draw that forward again. POC's up at the top. That was definitely the concern here. Now we're sliding back down towards settlement. Looking at the NASDAQ, the POC's also shifted up. Uh-oh. Let's see. This might just be an attempt from the sellers to look strong, but that's an incredibly strong bull bar. I didn't get a freaking fill. God. Okay. Well, now I'm not interested. Fair enough. See if we can get something a little bit better. That looked like it was going to be a nice breakaway move. I tried to get a fill, didn't get a fill, canceled it, and now it's pulling back a little bit. Maybe it worked in my favor. I don't know. Still love to see them get above these 85s. Oh, to the tick. To the tick on those 85s. Uh-oh. They broke above it. Are you kidding me? How many times am I going to get no-filled today? Good Lord. Okay. Back to back to back, huh? All right. Well, I do really like the way this is starting off. We've got a possible attempt with the wider perspective, looking at the downside at least, where sellers were trying to get this drive off of the all-time highs in the overnight. That continued down again. It was kind of a gross L2, needed a bit more refinement. Got the L3, then rotates down off of the L3. Usually it's an L1. We know those L1 traders are going to feel stuck when it just screams through them like this. And they came back, they got their break-evens, and now they definitely got their break-evens. Now we're starting to cycle back up, still has higher lows. Sellers are trying. Man, they're trying hard. Oh. Oh, where are they going to close it? Where are they going to close it? Close it above. Settlement is right above the top, which makes it incredibly weird and awkward and not so favorable to buy way the heck up here. But it's there. We do have a confirmed short-term POC back at 74.50s. And now we are breaking above this 15.085. A lot of swing traders are going to be utilizing this break right here for a long back to the all-time highs. So, out of the money, all-time high option calls, that kind of stuff. This is where traders going to be hitting. It feels really awkward. So it's probably going to be, not exactly like just a naked call or something, but you got your verticals and all that fun stuff. Now, if they can get a dip back to a zone that actually fits like a 2-to-1 risk, then you're probably going to find the rest of the interest come in. Now, what's interesting is that this dip down here does fit the 2-to-1 inside the highs. Wow, that candle just showed up. A lot of back and forth going on here. 10 o'clock around the corner. 10 o'clock news. Be careful. 10 o'clock news. They're still messing around with the POC here. We've got really good back and forth momentum going on here. Underneath settlement, sellers trying to get this to continue back to the downside. Now, though, if we look the POC where the market is, we are above it now for 2 consecutive closes. These are all really big deals. Another bull bar back up. Little dip to retest settlement. Where do they close on this candle? Man, there's like no volume on this candle. Look how little volume is coming in. There's still 300 ticks left. Hello? Is there anybody out there? Ooh, where do they close? I love you too, honey. Just got to drive by love you from my daughter. We've got a continuation. Ooh, bears close it back underneath. Bear engulfing almost? Not quite. Not quite. If this down move fails, very likely the launching pad for a pulse above settlement. Ooh, sellers do not want that bull bar to trigger. Do you see how aggressively they sold when that bull bar showed up? Now, let's see if this is a trap. Very little volume exchange so far. Is this a dip back to these 74, 75s? I'm willing to give it a shot. The probability's low, but the reward potential is incredible. Very, very nice reward potential right back up. Wow. All right. Nice bounce. Worth the risk. I mean, it's hard to ignore that kind of move when you're looking at a bounce right back up to inside test POC. especially when it hits it to the tick and immediately rejects. It's perfect. Again, another rejection push back down for those break evens. If shorts were stuck, well, beautiful little dip there. Just line them up. Get that scope all lined up. Take them out. So now the updated POC for the ES is a move back below. I wonder if the buyers want to go back up. Yeah, and this is the thing, right? We're starting to get a little bit sideways, a little bit transitional, a little bit messy, which makes sense because we opened right inside a range. Whoa. You know? I mean, these things are like, oh, well, of course. And so when you have these type of situations, I want to pay attention to like, well, this is an incredibly strong bull trend to the upside, right? Very nice, very strong. But I still don't want to be buying all in the middle of no man's land. And one of the best locations is between two previous confirmed swings. The thing is, they held the rising channel support. So, I mean, they're trying to get a POC, but the POC's back in the middle, which is further suggesting that we're a bit sideways. And imagine, for a second, if you will, that you were a buyer on, I don't know, this pullback right here. and let's say, just imagine, just imagine. And it didn't work out the way that you were anticipating it to. And it did fade all the way back down to settlement. Makes it all the way back up to break even. What do you think you're going to be doing back at your original entry point? It's probably going to be exiting, right? So seeing this fail to close above that is also a pretty big concern. That's a bit of a red flag. I would love to see them get above that and kind of get it out of the way. So far, we still have higher lows the whole way, so I have no reason to distrust them. But the only thing that is kind of looming in the back of my head is a two-legged RTH correction back to... Bing, bing, bing. Right back into the zone of support. Maybe it's too good to be true. Oh, man. Another bull bar here. This move is barely getting any momentum to the downside, and it's feeling like it's forcing bulls to buy very high and putting a lot of shorts under pressure. Got a little bit of a pullback inside this move. Looking for a continuation break above the highs if they're able. I love the pressure that they're putting the shorts under. They've got them right in the juicer. All they have to do is twist. Nice little pullback to re-up at the POC test. And look, they're twisting. They're twisting. Ooh, they're twisting. We got a lot of wick. What do they want to do here? They've got him in the juicer. They just got to give it that good 1-2. This is a perfect scenario for a squeeze. It's just got to pop. Up into settlement. All right. First one off into settlement. See if they can crack it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Pull them back a little bit. That's fine. We're testing settlement. Traders are going to take profit here. It's understandable. This re-up back above the POC is the big deal here. So looking for a confirmation continuation. As far as first in, first out, the first one was basically kind of a scratch. Not really worth a whole lot. So I want to see how they follow through on the secondary portion. I think this pullback is nothing more than a trap. The amount of pressure that they have the shorts underneath and the fact that they've triggered higher, that's a massive concern for the sellers who are stuck. And look at all these wicks. It's the perfect storm. It's a brewing. They got to break the highs. All of the stops are above 94. Get on through there. Come on. Very nice bull bar. S&P transitioning above their POC as well. Very good. There's the stops. Now, can they run them through? Reversing back down. Quick little flush for a re-up. I didn't get a fill. Oh! I didn't get a fill on the re-up. Transitioning back up for a POC. I'll take the exit back at settlement. If I would have been able to get another one, I would have had to have exited here. That's why I have to exit here. There's nothing I can do about that. I tried. I didn't get a fill. Oh, well. Right? My trade plan tells me that if I still have another one to try to hold a runner, but when I have a POC that shifts in my face right on top of settlement, no thanks. I have to adjust. Might just be a trap. Okay, I'll get back in. $10 news right around the corner, too. Maybe I won't get back in. Uh-oh. Maybe the news is exactly the catalyst it needs to light the match to get this thing going. Look at the potential. Use your mind's eye for a minute for the next 4 minutes on the S&P candle and think of how bullish this candle could potentially look retesting the POC where it is now if the buyers are going to get the continuation up. This is like the perfect spot for buyers to get in on the S&P as far as a risk stance is concerned. I'm not super satisfied with the fact that a 2-to-1 is way above the top from here. Another continuation up, another breakout move. This is their chance to try to light the match. Got to see them follow through with a good punch. Nice little pop for a scalp. Buying high, just scalps. Not looking for anything much above this. You got to understand where you're at. They might keep going, that's fine, but I'm buying high. I'm not sticking around to the party. Nice continuation back to the upside. They're still driving. Zoom in a little closer here so we can see some of this. Remember that bullish candle that we were using our brain eye for? Wait a minute. That's starting to look pretty good. Right, yeah. Now you know me. I wait for candles to close, but it's a good exercise. More continuation to the upside. As far as the POC goes, they are the exact same now. So 15.090, I might as well just watch the shorter term. Yikes. Now, as far as the broken L1 and the reversal here, their upside objective is going to be an L4 to L5. They've got it. At least an L3, but now we're beginning to transition above. Oh, the POC shifted on the S&P again. Shifted up on the NASDAQ as well, but we're trying and still closing above it. Here it sits again. As far as previous zones of potential resistance or supports, man, there's the last confirmed major swing high was over here going into the weekend, and that's already been retested multiple times. It's actually right there right now. And that's what that earlier rejection was too. Look at that. Wow. What a spot, huh? Going into news. What a terrible spot. going into news. Jeez. Maybe that's exactly what the longs want. I don't know. I don't trade in the news. That's not my shtick. If I were already in a trade, I wouldn't necessarily exit because of the news. Depends on what the news is, I guess, but I'm not about to trade into it. Good continuation back to the upside, though, for the longs. They're still going. Hindsight should have just stayed in the long down there at the 50s, huh? Jeez. Beautiful morning so far. Fantastic drive back up. Several opportunities. Hopefully everyone's had a good morning so far. We are going into the 10 o'clock point. Let's get those last questions in for training, and then we'll roll over to the extended session for members and VIPs, and then we'll rock and roll from there. Looking strong. Looking strong, looking strong. As far as the next giveaway is at 1975 subscribers on the road to 2,000. So we are at 1956. So 1975 minus 1956. We got 19 more to go. I'm not going to do math right now. My math is going to be used on charts, not on this stuff. 19 more subscribers, and we got another giveaway to do. Woohoo! So if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Come on. More continuation back up, still driving. The S&P feels like it's building that brick wall, and if they break through it, there's not going to be a whole lot left to hold it down. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, so that's going to do it for this end of things. Let's transition over into the extended session then. If I miss any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments below on the YouTube side, or if it's a little bit of a bigger question that needs more answering, feel free to shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. I can get those all for you from there. So outside of that, I hope you had a fantastic morning, and hopefully this thing keeps on going. Looking good. It's poised. We'll see if we can get a little bit more action going into the extended session. For the rest of you, though, enjoy, rest up, and we will see you all back tomorrow morning, all right? We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.